Look at me. Unmuted.
Can y'all hear us?
You should be able to hear us now. Boom. No, girl, place I'm good. Ah, boom, boom, boom. There we go. Hey, look at that.
Y'all missed the whole concert.
I know. We get ready to. We're gonna start it all over again. Good evening, Carol Ann Gore. Good evening, Prophetess. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for joining. Good evening. Good morning. Good evening. Good afternoon, wherever you are. If you don't mind, like and share. And excuse me, look. Y'all know. Look, I'm goofy, so I'm gonna just be me. And my cousin, Regina, just gonna be her, and we're gonna get this thing going.
We love y'all too. I tell you.
Thank
y'all for joining.
Appreciate it. All right.
You look stunning.
Good evening, Apostle Sharika. Thank you. Thank you. Caroline, you probably were. We were meant to be. Spread your wings and fly, butterfly. Now y'all can hear us. We're going to give it a couple of minutes so we don't have any more technical issues that really, are like user error. You know what I'm saying? We got a new setup. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm excited about this. We are very, very excited about this. You've given me the courage to be all and I truly feel your heart will lead you back to me. Hey. All right. Hey. I thought this was perfect. Simply because butterflies are transitional, and we're definitely in a place of transition. Yes. This thing that we are talking about today, not just about identity, we're talking about identity. We're talking about healing, hurting, pain, and how that affects who you are and the transitions that come from this. So I'm very excited about this today. Thank you, Carol Ann. So let me start off by saying today I'm not Prophetess Nisa. Today I am Nisa. I am identity expert here with Identity Speaks. And I know I haven't done a lot of talking about this like in the last few weeks, but the thing with Identity Speaks that the Lord has been really dealing with me on is like us really understanding that a lot of us haven't known who we are, or we've gone through some things in our lives that have changed our idea of who we are as we have become, or we've been acquiescing to the things that maybe society will tell us that we should be. What we want to do here with Candid Conversations is we want everybody to participate. Like it's me and Regina here, and so we're on camera, but the truth of the matter is, I want this to be a community conversation, particularly with women, to start with about who we are, what affects who we are, what affects our perception of who we are, and things that we've gone through to change it. I'm gonna tell you personally, I'm 42 years old, and at 42, my idea of who Nisa is it's metamorphosized in many, many ways. Good evening, Sean. Thank you for joining. It is metamorphosized in many ways, and I've gotten to a place where I understand that if I'm not focused on truly being rooted in who I am and allowing my roots to be the things that define my life and how that's expressed, then society has a way of kind of really tripping you up. And so when this is my cousin. First of all, let me be clear. I'm not here by myself, and this isn't just anybody. This is my cousin, Regina. We are first cousins. We are family. We are very much family. So I was grateful when I saw that she was putting a book out. I was like, oh, boom, God is talking. So when God speaks, when he speaks, I confirm and then move. So we are family here, and we are talking about something that I know everybody can relate to on one level or another. So if you haven't done so yet, like, share, and be active. Y'all be active, because I'm telling you that what we want to do is begin a conversation. And let me say something about identity. One thing that I understand is that the conversation about identity has already begun. We just didn't start it. There's the pronouns thing. You know what I mean? Like, am I gonna be a boy, a girl? Like, and this is not even about being controversial at this point. It's that there's a segment of society that has decided, you know what? I want to question who I am, and I want to question how I identify myself, and I want to question how I present myself to different people. And in that questioning, there's a whole conversation. Good evening, Daryl Marie. Good evening, Susan. Thank you for joining. There's a whole conversation that has begun, and some people want to be a part of it, and some people have just allowed the conversation to happen. And what happened, what I understand is that conversation about pronouns is actually much larger. It's really much larger than just, am I going to identify as a man or woman? The truth of the matter is, a lot of us have been operating in roles our entire lives that we allow to define us, but they can't at a certain place. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a mother, I'm a business person. And those roles should exist as a function of who I am. So I should know who I am. And then the way that I perform as a mother, the way that I am as a wife, the way that I am as a CEO should be manifest in the way that I behave there. That my identity should show up there. So if I'm a woman of God, where I'm rooted, then I'll be a godly mother. Then I'll be a godly CEO. Then I'll be a godly business person. But if the only place I identify is mother, then when my children become adults, then my identity starts getting shaky, and I'm in a potential identity crisis, because now I don't know what I do. You know what I mean? Because mothering is a certain way for a certain time. Like when you have an infant, you do certain things for 12 months. And then now I have a toddler until what, they 4, they toddlers until. So now I got to mother a different way. And then when they become school age, now so I have a routine. I get up, I get them ready, we get ready for school, we get ready for work. So there's something, and my identity gets tied up in all of that. And if I'm not careful, then I never figure out who I am, or I never really, or I lose myself. And so then when kids get grown, if you have an empty nest, you're like, oh,
right. What am I?
What do I do now? You know what I'm saying? It's 6 o'clock in the morning. None of my kids are home, and I don't have my routine anymore. Like literally, the Monday kid goes to college, you like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like everything has changed. And so at that point, if you don't know who you are, then you don't know how to shift. And I think the inability to shift is a thing. And let me say something about COVID before I let Regina talk about her book. COVID sat people down in a way that they don't want to be sat down. It stopped the whole world from moving. It put everybody in a position where you didn't have any choice but to sit in one place, figure out who you are, and figure out what that meant in the context of, life and stuff. So a lot of people, now we're dealing with depression. We finding out, and a lot of them were already depressed. People didn't know they were already, I got depressed because of COVID. No, your depression showed up as depression because of COVID, but you've been depressed. And so COVID put a spotlight to me on identity that I think we should talk about. Now, I'm going to say briefly that Regina's book is called Painkiller, and it's a journal about pain, healing, hurting, those kind of things. So it's from going from healing, from what you felt, right?
Right. So basically, like she said, when COVID hit, I'm a registered nurse by profession, and I was in the hospital when COVID hit, and I was that nurse that was working bedside, watching everything just unfold. And just like everybody else at home, COVID sat me down. I had to sit down. I had to stop. Now, even though I was going to work every day, at the hospital, I still had time to reflect on my life, watching people die, going home afraid, wondering if, people were going to get sick, wondering if I was going to bring it home to my kids, wondering if I was going to go home with it. It just gave me a different perspective on my life. And so I had an identity crisis. I realized at that moment, Regina is not just a mother, a wife, and a nurse. Regina is a multitude of a lot of things. I'm creative. It's a lot of things that I hadn't tapped into before COVID. And I realized that I put myself in a box as a nurse, and that's all I did and all I ever did. And so I decided that I didn't want to have any regrets in life anymore. So now I'm an author.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I tapped into that. And I also was depressed. And didn't realize a lot of my depression, showed up as, like Lisa said, after COVID, I started really paying attention to it and wanting to do something about it. The thing with my book Painkiller is it's a journal, a mental health journal. And what I realized is that I have been going through stuff and overcoming obstacles the whole, all my life. It wasn't until I sat down and started writing this journal, which, by the way, was supposed to be a journal for nurses to help them, with the things we were dealing with in the hospital, but it turned into me writing my story. But I wrote my story. I started writing my story, and in writing my story, I realized how much I had overcame in my life, and how much of a winner I was, and how strong I was. Because a lot of times we don't realize, we say we're depressed, but then we don't realize how much we've overcame. Yeah. And sometimes there's power in that when you sit down and you just put that pen down and write some stuff down and realize, oh my God, I've been through a lot in my life, and I've overcame
I'm still here.
A lot. I'm a survivor of a lot of the stuff I went through. And that's just power. It just gave me a whole perspective on me. So, that's how Painkiller came about. And I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited about it actually got published today. So you can go on Amazon or reginapittman.com and buy it. But also, I'm excited about having the conversations with people like this. I want to do a podcast. I want to have real conversations with people. I want to have, help people get to that aha moment of, I am strong. I am resilient. I am a survivor. And if you're not, then we can figure out how to get you there.
The truth of the matter is it's about perception, right? Because you always are. So if you figure out that, we're going to show you where the survivor in you lives. Sometimes it gets buried under everything that we have going on. I like the way that you did the book in terms of it being, number one, your story, but also a journal. Because a lot of times we're doing these things and we're not offering people, like, I can tell you what to do, but I don't really offer you a practical way to walk out what I'm talking about, right? Like, how did I do that? The other thing is I probably have 30 journals. There's so much benefit to writing down what you're going through and writing through your feelings and being able to put that on paper and say, okay, let me go back and see. And sometimes, like you said, when you make a list of the things that you've overcome, sometimes if the journal itself will serve as something like a time capsule. Like, let me go back and see where I was 6 months ago, 12 months ago. I work with women and I'm like, wait, I need you to remember where you were when we first started, because when you get to a certain place of pain, it's real easy to forget that this pain is different than the pain that showed up before. You know what I mean? So you actually are an overcomer, and different levels of pain and different levels of trial will make you feel like you're losing, when the truth is you actually are winning, and you have been winning.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we don't realize it. I didn't realize it until I started writing how strong and resilient I was. You hear people tell you all the time, oh, you're strong. Oh, you did that so graceful. But you have to believe that. You have to know that. And sometimes it takes for you to write it down and then go back and look at it. And so I believe in the power of the pen. I've been writing a long time. I found notes that I wrote years ago that I just had sitting around, just angry one day and writing stuff down because I didn't want to say it to anybody, but I wrote it down. And when I went back, I was like, wow. Oh, man, I was there and don't even remember. We have short-term memory, guys. It's just like having a baby. If you're a mom out there, you go have that baby, that when they put that baby in your hand, you like, oh, all that throwing up and all that stuff you went through, it goes away for a minute. Once you get through that storm, you forget all that. Sometimes we forget, and most of us do. That's just how God designed us, for us to keep going. And so sometimes we have to remind ourselves, and that's what journaling does for me.
Let me see the book so I can shut them up.
So yeah.
Okay. So look. So this is the book. Painkiller. There we go. Painkiller. This is the book. It's a book plus a journal. We're talking about a 10-day guide to dealing with
to help kill your pain. So I write my story, and then I ask you questions about your story. And then I give you call to actions, and I like to call it call to actions because it helps you to get active right in that. Podcast you can listen to, books you can read, movies you can watch, whatever came, the things that helped me get through some of the painful points in my life and helped me to come to those aha moments or those realizations. I put them in there for you to go in there and look and take a look at them, and hopefully they'll help you too.
So let me go back to something you were talking about when you said being strong. Now I've been like in my teaching in ministry, I've been talking about birthing and transition and pain and birthing and things like that and relating it to our experiences. One of the things that I understood as I started dealing with identity and my own identity is that a lot of people see you as strong when you don't feel strong. And a lot of people assume because you make things look easy that it's easy for you and that you're not really going through anything. So it's like birthing a baby. Like I show up with kids, but you don't realize what it took for me to produce this person between the time of being pregnant and then whatever I went through to actually have the baby. So I really want to talk about like particularly like your talk about your job, where you were in your job in terms of that, and how the perception of your strength also helps. Honestly, I think maybe kind of skew your ability to even deal with the stuff. Like people will put strength on you when really you need to be able to be vulnerable.
Yeah, I think a lot of people consider me to be strong. I mean, I get it from my family. I get it from my friends. They tell me how strong I am. They tell me, I get it all the time. But the truth of the matter is I spent a lot of time on my bathroom floor. I spent a lot of time on my bathroom floor crying with my hands in my head, locking myself in on my bathroom floor so that my family, because I'm the strong one, right? And nobody's supposed to, I'm supposed to be strong. And when so many people tell you that, it's like, okay, you have to be strong, because the moment you show that you're not, it's like, whoa, what's happening with her? And then you kind of get them looks like, what's going on? Like, you're supposed to be well past this. Well, that's the truth of the matter. I spent a lot of time on my bathroom floor crying behind the things that I was feeling or going through, because I didn't want to call anybody and say, I'm feeling like this today. I spent a lot of time contemplating suicide. My family don't know that. My husband don't know that. My kids don't know that. That was my thoughts. That was what was going on in my head. I never, it took a long time for me to feel worthy of myself, or that I was even doing anything for my family, that I was even, a factor. Like, I know it might sound crazy to some people, but that's where I was mentally. What was happening in my head was my reality. Even though I graduated from, nursing school, and people saw that as, hey, you're strong and admirable. I went through a lot getting through nursing school, first of all, and being resilient. And then when I get there, still wasn't, that happy person I thought I was going to be. And then I had to deal with that because, oh, you're a nurse and you making all that, you should be happy. People put their perceptions on you, and, you deal with all of that.
Listen, I did. So when I went through the same thing, I told them I had a house when I was living in Fort Worth. My house in Fort Worth had wood floors. I told them it should be places in the wood that's buckled because of the number of tears that I cried in that place. And the thing was, it's like, who do you call? The truth was, like, whenever I got ready to call somebody, there were very few people I could talk to. And whenever I got ready to call somebody, I was the person that they leaned on. I was the person that they talked to. So trying to say, hey, I got an issue right now. I literally had to start adjusting my relationships because I realized that, one, I'm carrying a lot myself, and I don't have a place that I can put it besides God. You know what I mean? Like, I end up in a closet praying, of course, but it's like, man, do I have to be by myself in this? And then trying to understand, what strength really meant, because what people saw as strength to me was like, you don't have issues, and I wish I had your life. I wish you did too, like at least long enough for me to truly be able to rest and say that I can heal and regroup, or even understand what's wrong with me. Like, my lowest moment, I was making $100,000 almost. My lowest moment, I was making almost $100,000. I had a company car, I had a house, I was in a room, in a closet, and I was just weeping, and I didn't know why I'd been crying. And I didn't have any. There was one person I called after 4 days. after 4 days, because for 3 days I couldn't figure out who to call on beside, and I almost put myself in a crazy institution. But what you said about suicide, a lot of people don't know that. And I told them, I sat in the prayer closet once, wanting to die, not because I didn't want life, but because I didn't want to hurt.
Yeah.
It was too painful.
Yeah.
And everything that I was looking at was supposed to be the answer. And I'm like, y'all think all of this stuff is okay? And my $100,000, my house, my church, my ministry, all this stuff that y'all think is so great, it's not stopping my heartbreak. And so I didn't know what to do with that. So I think one of the things that I really want to deal with and help women understand is that you're not by yourself.
Wow.
And really, when it comes to being a type A personality, because that's what it is, right? You got the kids, you got the husband, you got the job. Like, I can check this off, check this off, check this off. And let me say, we talked about this. Everything I do in excellence.
Yeah.
Like, even if I don't want to do a thing, I know when I put my hands to it, I'm going to put my all into it. So I can make it look like not only a thing is easy, but I'm enjoying it just because I do it well. And that's not even, it's just what God put in me. And so because I'm doing that, everybody think I'm okay. And because they're coveting, like, people want your life, or they think they do. Yeah. I want what your life looks like. And so they, there's a lot of that too. And I don't think like strong women get the latitude that they need to be able to speak and really talk.
Yeah, it's definitely I like somebody just put on here that strength is Susan. I love that. Yeah. Strength is relative. Right. I love that because it is. What you may feel like, is strength. I might be looking at like, really, girl? I was just like crawling around, trying to get myself together. But what I do know and what I have learned is that, we all have pain. And the one thing about us, we are horrible at wanting to feel pain. That's the one thing I learned in the hospital. The patients would come, we had this certain population of patients that would come into the hospital, and then they would come in because they were hurting, couldn't find a diagnosis. What's wrong with you? We ran every test. And a lot of times it was emotional. It was emotional. They come in the hospital, they need somebody to talk to. They want some attention. Mm-hmm. They just want somebody to acknowledge, I see you and you hurting. And I understand that. And for some people that's enough. I'm the nurse who like to sit down and talk with people. So for some people, they'd be ready to go home. But for some people, it's deeper than that. There's some healing that needs to go on. And a lot of times, it's just maybe some talk therapy. Sometimes some people can get through it with writing. Some people need a little more than that. You need somebody to actually help you through that pain. Yeah. It's different for everybody. So you gotta know. And I will say this: the other thing that's hard is having those people around you who can see for you. Who can see for you, and you have to be willing. You have to be willing, because one thing about it is, when they say you're strong, but you got to be willing to open up your mouth and tell people, I'm hurting. And that was sometimes that was hard for me. I just made 42 on my birthday, and I woke up so sad. Don't know why I was sad. I woke up weeping, crying, no reason. I was just telling Nisa that I woke up and I just was so heavy. Don't even know why, but a friend of mine called me, and I thank God I have friends that I can tell it to now. Yeah. God has given me a circle of friends that I can just say, I'm sad and I don't even know why. And my friend just told me, she said, look, it's not real. Get up, wash your face, put your clothes on. She had to remind me that you are blessed. You are loved. We all love you. It's your birthday. And it was just simple. And I got up and I got happy. Okay. Sometimes it's just as simple as that, because we're human. Yeah. And sometimes we feel the weight of the world. People dying all around us. Stuff is happening. And you feel that stuff and don't even know that you're feeling that stuff. And you think it's you. And really you feeling some other stuff. And so that's just what it was. And I got up and I was good after that. Right. So,
sometimes it takes that's important too, right? Having a circle of people. You need trusted voices that can speak to you and speak into you, and that you can speak to without feeling judged.
Right.
And so that, having those people around you is major. And there's a ministry called Truth and Love Empowers, and a friend of mine, she started that, and it was a thing where we would get together, and everyone was in ministry, and every woman was in ministry, but they had families, they had careers, and they had regular life stuff, right? So you need a place and people that you can go to and say, hey, yo, I'm a boss when I leave here, but it exhausts me. You know what I'm saying? I take care of these kids, but I still don't feel good enough on some days. Some days I wake up, and I know y'all think that I make it look easy. Let me tell you something. When I feel real down, y'all, look, if I got on too much makeup, too many bangles, too much shiny stuff, then I was trying to glitz myself out of feeling bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out how to not feel the way that I feel, and it becomes difficult sometimes. There were times where I wanted to crawl under the bed, like literally crawl under the bed. And while you feel like that, you steady got a whole bunch of people that's like, look, y'all, I moved. In 2013, the Lord moved me to New Orleans, so I left here. I went to New Orleans, and everything started off well, but literally overnight turned into a disaster. It was people, you doing it, you doing it. And I'm like, y'all don't know that I'm out here. My car was totaled, so I was walking to work every day. I had $175,000 worth of student loans and degrees, but I was making $8 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was struggling to pay bills. I was hustling, and everybody thought I was good. And I was like, but I'm not. I'm literally, like, I had stairs, and what you say about crying on the bathroom floor, man, I laid on the stairs so many days and just wept and just wept and wept and wept. And then I started drinking, and nobody knew that. I was cool. I was the party girl. No, I'm in a whole lot of pain, and nobody understood. It took, like, literally, Regina, I was drunk for 2 weeks straight. I was literally drunk for 2 weeks straight. I got up. I would go to this daiquiri shop. I would start drinking at noon. I would stop at like 8 just to take a break. And then by 10 o'clock, we had started again, and I was drinking till 2 o'clock in the morning. I did that every single day for no less than 14 days, when it was like, if you don't stop, you're going to become an alcoholic. That's the only thing that stopped me, because I was hurting so bad. But everybody was in my inbox on my phone. Ooh, you made that move. Ooh, you went out there. Ooh, I wish I could do what you do. I'm in pain. I'm in pain. And then I moved again, and I'm thinking that's going to be well. And somebody, I'm so proud of you. Proud of what? You know, I'm like, proud of what? I'm hurting. And nobody recognized that I was hurting except for a couple of people that were close to me. Yeah. And sometimes it just takes those 1 or 2 people. Yeah. But you have to, I know the first chapter of your book is trust, right?
Yes, it is trust.
It's trust. So what we're talking about here requires that you trust people.
Absolutely. And you have to trust people, because that's the first part of healing yourself and mental health. We are taught that, people can't be trusted, but you have to trust people. You have to, trust in people. You believe in God, you trust God. And then God gonna send you them people that you can trust. And we're human, so we're gonna make mistakes. Everybody is not gonna be likable all the time. I have great friends, and we still sometimes be like, hey girl, but at the end of the day, I can say I can trust them. And I can trust them, they love me, and they're going to tell me the truth. And that's what you need. You have to trust yourself. Trusting yourself is when you don't trust other folks. I'm going to tell you, and some people may disagree with me with that, but I had to learn that through my healing process. I had to learn to trust myself. When you trust yourself, then you are able to discern who you can trust. That's where it comes, it starts with trusting you. You trust you first, you trust God, and then God will give you that discernment on who you can trust, and then you'll be fine. You can trust certain people with certain things. You can't tell everybody, that I don't know, for example, you can't tell everybody all your kids' business. You got certain people that you can go and talk to them about your children. You got certain people you can talk. You just have to have that discernment on who you can trust, who with what, and that comes with trusting yourself first.
That's how. So we family. I'm telling y'all we family, and I know we family because I told some of y'all just this exact same. I promise. I told somebody last week. I said, stop depending on yourself to figure out who you can trust, and ask God. If you allow God to reveal to you who can be trusted, and then when you said what you can tell them. So it's really important to understand. that, okay, God will show me who I can trust. Then he'll show me how to position them so that I'm not giving them things that they can't handle, therefore giving them the ability to hurt me in ways that I shouldn't be hurt, because then they heap on pain and now I don't trust again. The other thing, now the thing about trusting yourself is good, because I told people for years, I said, I don't trust myself. Like, it's certain things that I don't do because I don't trust myself. Every decision I've ever made in this area has gone wrong. Yeah. With relationships, it was a disaster. I'm not doing that. Listen, I make bad decisions when it comes to relationships and make my feelings get hurt. I don't trust myself. And it had to become a place where I started trusting God and trusting that I would go to him. So now I don't trust myself. I trust that I'm gonna execute the right process so that when I start seeking, then I know what to hear and where to hear from.
Right.
So that's a good thing. The other thing about trust is, so that's a place of, like, when it gets damaged, it's really difficult to heal. So talk to me about how, because let me tell you something. The Lord had to tell, because I've never been a person with trust issues. I'm gonna be honest. I've never had that issue. It don't matter how crazy people are. I always reset pretty quick. And so because of how I am, I prayed about it when I was in my 20s, and the Lord told me, keep being who you are, and I'll honor you, and I'll protect you. He had to, because people do stuff. But I know people lose trust, and then they have to heal and reset.
Well, I'll tell y'all, trust was a big one for me. In my journal, I write about trust, and that, first of all, let's say that story was very hard for me to write because it touched on infidelity with myself and my husband. That was a hard one for me to write about, but it showed up in my life, and I'm one who I have to figure out why it showed up. It was bigger than the infidelity. Okay, the infidelity showed up for a reason. Mm-hmm. And so I had to learn from that. So I started digging into it. When I started going through after I got out of the anger, because I mean, it's a process. Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna be hurt, and you're gonna feel all the things that we feel when you're gonna feel, oh my God, why did you do this? You're gonna feel all of that, and it's okay. When you're at that stage, but then once you get to a certain point, it's time for you to learn from it. And you have to learn something. Trust me, things don't show up in your life because other people just picking on you or doing things to you. Yeah. So if you feel like if you are there, then you got some work to do. Infidelity showed up in my life for a few reasons. Big one was I didn't trust myself, and I wasn't a trustworthy person. I learned through that process that I needed to be a trustworthy person. Trust issues showed up in my life because of and I'm gonna say not just that one reason. It was a few things. And when I started to dissect, and in my journal, it talks about, there's some podcasts and stuff you're gonna listen to where you're gonna understand what I'm talking about. And that's why I'm saying trusting yourself is the biggest one, and being a trustworthy person, gossiping, telling other people business that's not yours to tell. We all done been there and done some of that. And so I had to take ownership that issue showed up in my life because of some of the stuff I was doing as well. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody has to take their position and take their, figure out why it is that they do what they do. We all had to take our faults in the whole process, but I was mature enough to learn from it and to understand that it didn't show up just because it just wanted to show up. It was reasons why it showed up in my life. And so now I can help other people, figure that out. And then I can now trust my husband again, because I can trust myself, and I make it a point to be a trustworthy person now. Before I didn't. Now you can call me and tell me anything. I'm taking it to my grave, because now I know and I understand that you have to be a trustworthy person in order, if you want trust to show up in your life.
I think so. Listen, so part of what you're talking about comes from pretending that you're okay when you're not.
Right.
Because what'll happen is, and I see it happen. I used to have the same issue. You talk to everybody. Like I had to decrease the number of people that I sought counsel from about the thing going on with me, because I'm supposed to be strong, but I really need an outlet. The people around me can't be there. I need help. I need to talk. And so what happens is, the next thing you know, you're talking to everybody. And let me say something. The place of accountability is major. Mm-hmm. And one thing when I minister to people and they're coming to me even with marital issues, because I'm always like, okay, so what can you change? And I had so many women get mad at me because it was like, he. I understand that, but I don't have him here. All I have is you. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you're to blame. What I'm saying is that there's always a thing in us that even if I allow too much to happen, and I need to shift how much I allow so that I start establishing boundaries so my heart don't keep getting broken. I'm accountable for my boundaries or lack thereof. And so when you begin to talk this out with people, it's like, okay, the only thing you really control is you and your relationship with God. You can control what you do, how you behave. So what can we do about you and control that so that you can start, every time you see different outcomes. People will see different outcomes all the time. And I always said, people that don't trust nobody can't be trusted. I used to say that all the time. If you trust no one, how do I trust you? That means you're always in defense mode.
Well, that's because they don't trust themselves. And that's the bigger issue. And so when they're willing to sit down and attack that, then, they will be able to trust, and they won't, it won't even matter if somebody will be deceptive to you. You won't even care because you're going to trust yourself to either move on or do whatever it is you need to do. God going to give you discernment. You're going to be able to make your moves. Right. So you don't even have to worry about it. You're protected. Right. But it starts with you first. Like Michael Jackson said, the man in the mirror. Right. Everything starts with you. And so now I understand that every encounter in my life they come to teach me, even my children. I know that they are here as my teachers. I'm here to teach them. They're here to teach me. I always, ask myself, okay, what am I going to learn? Because I want to learn it, and I want to learn it quick so it can go
correctly, so that I don't have to
so it can go away.
So we can move on. So I don't want to circle any mountains anymore in my life. You know what I mean? I want to figure out what I need to know, and I call it assignment. Yeah. What is the assignment on the life or this relationship? And if we understand the assignment, then we don't put people in places they shouldn't be put, and we don't do things that we shouldn't do. That goes to identity, though, because so look, I have the identity, and it talks about what you're rooted in. The 3 parts of your identity are your roots, which are the things that keep you firm in the foundation, right? Your trunk, which is your principles that are based on your roots. So whatever I say my roots are, my principles should reflect that. And then the expression, which is the top, and that's going to be like what my roles are, what the fruit that I produce is. And so here's the thing. If I say my roots are in Christ, which mine are, am I reflecting that in behavior? Am I showing somebody Christ-like roots when I perform? And if I can't trust myself and people can't trust me, then my roots are in conflict with what I'm expressing. And so that part of dealing with pain and identity is seeing, like you said, okay, what do I need to look at in myself? How do I need to adjust what I do? And how is that informed by who I say I am? Because a lot of the problem is that who we say we are is incongruent with what we display. Right. And society has us pretending like it's okay. Yeah. Because we start moving in, like I think you said earlier, everybody was like, oh, you make a lot of money as a nurse, so it's supposed to be okay. Yeah, you're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to be in bliss. Oh, girl, you making all that money, and it's like, I made some money, but let me tell you, I have walked away, and don't get me wrong, I am in a process of identity. Mm-hmm. I'm finding out who Regina is. I will always be a nurse, and I'm gonna be a nurse. I'm gonna do some nursing. I'm gonna do some parties because I found out I like that too. Mm-hmm. I started a business called Walls That Talk, where I do some event props. I love it. I'm having a blast. So I'm gonna do a little bit of that. I'm just not putting myself in a box anymore. I understand that I love people, and I love helping and healing people. So it's gonna come in all kinds of forms. Yeah. But no longer will I allow myself to just sit in a box
and do that one thing, because now I know that makes me unhappy. I have been the happiest probably in the last, oh my God, 6-7 months of my whole entire life. And I'm 42 years old. And I'm realizing joy and what joy means. You know, now that I'm doing me, like they say, I'm doing me.
Right. Somebody said, look, I posted a picture the other day. Somebody was like, that's real joy. And not because everything is going well, like not by anybody's measures, right? Yeah. So I have the most joy. I would say that too, the most joy and peace that I've ever had in my life. But it was literally a decision. Yeah. Like I literally had to decide, okay, I know who I am. A lot of what hasn't fallen apart in my life is because I am rooted in God. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if things are crazy and I'm not exactly on point, I can always go back to God and say, okay, you said my life is supposed to look like this, and it's not looking like that. So let me sit down and figure out what the incongruency is. But the part where I decide to count it all joy, the part where I decide I'm going to have peace, is literally a choice, because the world will keep trying to take it from you. And now I don't even think they mean to. It's so many people that's just like joyless and peaceless that, I mean, they'll bring that into your life, and you have to decide, what the things that I'm going to do. And again, like what you said, like I changed my career, like I'll always be a nurse, but there were some other things that I wanted to do, and people will try to put you in a box. Oh, they tell me you got too much going on. Yeah. You always got too much things. You got too much going on.
Well, I think that's who we are as people. God He gives us gifts, talents, and all kind of. We may not make money doing all of them, but I love to sing, I love to dance, and I wasn't doing any of that stuff in my box. Now I do it all. And I make sure I incorporate all. It's part of being having that joy in your life. You have to, a lot of people don't incorporate the things that they love. They get up, they're in the hustle and bustle of life. They don't have time for it, so that they make you feel like you don't have time. And so you're trying to chase the bag, and you don't have time, and you got to make time. You have to live life on your terms, because if you don't, you will end up on a bathroom floor, or you're going to end up on the 10th floor, how they say that at the hospital. You're going to end up, or, you're just going to live a life that you feel is incomplete. And if you don't.
That's hard. And that's where you crash. Like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Like I know it in me. I feel like what I feel is incongruent. And I think honestly, like when we talk about the broad conversation about identity in this country, it's a lot of people that they're not, like how they feel doesn't match what they're living. And so, but if they're not careful, you'll pull on the wrong things to try to figure out who you are. And the next thing you know, you have nullified your entire identity trying to match what the world says is okay. And you're like, that didn't work for me either. Because I'm like, it's a lot of people out here that quote unquote figured out who they were, and they living free and open. And then next thing you know, they commit suicide for real. Because they didn't really get to a place of knowing themselves. They didn't. What's the second? So the second we did trust.
So I have trust, and then let's see, it goes to, let me just book. Just pick up this book, y'all,
because we authors out here. She's an author.
And so we go to pain. And so we talk about, I talk about pain. I talk about the things I went through as a mom, and if you're a mom, or if you're a step-in mom, if you mothering somebody, there's some pain to be had in that. Yes. And so, and like Nisa said, there came a time in my life I had to realize that my identity was not in my children. My children are my children. And that I was a separate entity from them.
So let me tell you how much grief I get about this. So y'all know I'm in dietetics, right? So I get a lot of the women that I deal with that need to lose weight or want to lose weight. The issue that they have is, I told them, I said, your issue is not a food issue. Food is the manifestation of, you know what I mean? And the way it's a manifestation of not really knowing yourself. And I'm like, so who are you? Oh, I'm a mom. No. I know what your role is. I understand that you have children. Who are you? Well, I'm so-and-so's wife. No. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and my thing about that is, I always say is that if your identity is rooted in people, anytime those people change, it's going to disrupt who you are. It's going to disrupt what you do. And you take things personal that you should, particularly being a mom. My child hurt me. And I was like, look, I haven't given birth to children. So when it happened, I was like, oh, like, what is this that I'm feeling? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I so hurt by what she did? And so it was like, okay, Benicia, you can't take it that personal. You know what I mean? Like, she got a growth process. And at the same time, like, because I started feeling like, okay, maybe I messed something up. Because we had a conversation about this. We talked this through, but maybe it's something I didn't do. Maybe it's I had to call my friend to pray. Needs to take it off for yourself. Because it wasn't, she made a decision. Because when she called me back, it was like, I know what you said. I know how you felt. And I should have believed you. And I didn't. You know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, cool. But now I need to make sure, because I understand intellectually because of not being a mom all these years. But I think one of the things is that a lot of us have kids at an early age. And so you go from being in your mom's house to now, maybe I've been out for a couple of years. Most of my friends had kids in their 20s. So it's like, okay, now I'm a mom, now I'm a wife. And you're so excited about this stuff. Like, that's the thing that we've been waiting on. Because a lot of us as women are groomed to be those things. Like, I'm going to teach you how to be a mom. I'm going to talk to you how to be the wife. And then the next thing you know, that's what you become. And everything you got going on is about that. But one day you wake up and you're like, I don't really know me.
Yeah. And then we also, we parent, we get our parenting. We think we're going to be the super mom or the super dad. And the other thing is proving our parents wrong. I'm about to be better than you. Yeah, we get that too. And then we realize, some of the things I did was a little harder.
A little harder than I thought
it
was.
Some things better, but some of that other stuff gonna show up too. So you can't. Your identity can't be stuck in that for sure.
So one thing I talked about too is pain, the purpose of pain. And I know you talked about that, like, what am I supposed to learn from this? And so I also was talking about, because in childbirth, pain is a tool. It really is a tool, a mechanism for knowing when you're supposed to push, when you're supposed to put pressure. Like, if you too numb, then you don't know. And so I'm not a nurse, but this is something my mom always told me. She said if they give them the epidural too early, then they don't really know when to push. You know what I'm saying? So the pain itself is your indication that it's time to start moving the baby along through a transition process. And so I feel like even in our lives, even if we don't opt for pain. And Susan said, many of us are pain averse. She said that we are so pain averse, which is true. I don't like to hurt. Don't hurt me. I told them, don't talk to me about the pain of childbirth, otherwise you're going to deter me from having a baby, because I don't want to be in that kind of pain. However, I also understand that sometimes pain is the mechanism necessary to move you from where you are to where you need to be. And if you don't allow it to do that, then you'll get stuck. And that happens. A lot of people get in pain and they get stuck in a place. Yeah. And so they don't heal, and they never birth.
Yeah. So that the same thing with emotional pain. Pain comes to serve you. It comes to tell you something is not, that you need to do something, or you need to, adjust something. When you start feeling that pain, that's your, that's your body's way, or God's way, or universe, whatever you want to call it. That's his way of saying something is not agreeing, and you need to pay attention. That's why it hurts. You need to pay attention. You need to learn what you need to learn so that you can move on. And so that you don't have to feel that pain no more. The problem is people want to numb the pain. They want to stop the pain. And so that's how you get those addictions. That's how you want to eat that cupcake, or you want to get that, the liquor, and you want to get the drugs, and because you want to just stop it right then and there, instead of figuring out what I need to do with this, because I need this gone. And so, hey, we all have something. Shopping. Whatever it is your vice is, you figure out what that vice is. That's the other thing. Then you pay attention for when it starts to show up.
Some of it is helping people.
Yeah.
So.
He wrote that.
Did you? Talk about that.
Well, I am one, and I love people. I love children. When I was in nursing school, guys, I had 9 children in my house. Oh, wow. In nursing school, in my last 2 years, pregnant, trying to get through school. And I had to, I took in, me and my husband took in my nieces and nephews, and don't get me wrong, it was
Yeah.
I did a great thing, but sometimes you have to really make sure you're doing things for the right reasons, not doing it because, oh, I'm the only, because my thing was, who else gonna do it? Nobody else is gonna do it. I have to do it, and I wasn't prepared for that. That I went through a lot of emotional trauma, having raising all those kids in my house. I didn't have the support that I thought I was gonna get. So it's like, oh, you up in here doing this for real, for real.
Yeah.
And so I built up a lot of resentment. I built up a lot of it was a lot of pain around that, and it was the hardest thing, because even though I wanted to help and I wanted those kids to be safe, it just I did a lot of self damage to myself going through that process, and it was only because I wanted to help. And sometimes you can't help everybody.
Okay.
You cannot help everybody. You have to realize your limitations. And I was one person in that house trying to finish nursing school and trying to raise all these kids, and I realized after the fact that I did some damage. Just speaking with my nieces and my nephews and my children. I thought I was doing an excellent job, and some may argue and say Virginia still did a great job, but I had to deal with the remnants of that when it came down to my kids, and when it came to my nieces and nephews, when they came back and say, hey, why you did this way, or why I couldn't be fully present. I was trying to keep them safe. I didn't let them go a whole lot of places. I wasn't fully engaged. And so that caused pain in other people's lives. And I had to be accountable for that. That's a whole nother book. It's a whole nother book. But it's that hero syndrome that you have when you want to help everybody. And you may not necessarily be the best person to do that at the time. So you have to discern that. You really have to discern that.
I heard Creflo Dollar one day. I was listening to Creflo. People don't like him, but Creflo was talking. He was talking about his life from the time he started ministry to where he was. And he came from poverty. When he got into, God took him to a certain place. And of course, he became wealthy. And everybody from his family kept calling for money. And so at one point, he was saying yes to everything. Yeah. He would, look, I got it. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do it. I'm trying to help everybody. And he said one day the Lord told him, I'm getting ready to tie your hands because I don't want you to help everybody. He says sometimes the help that you're providing people is keeping me from making them learn what I need them to learn, or there's somebody else that I need to kick in and be willing to do a thing that they can't do because you keep jumping in the way. Man, and so, and like you said, look, what I learned is not every good thing is God thing. Just because it's a good thing doesn't mean that God wants you to do it, or that it's your particular assignment, or that it's something that that is going to be good for you. And so it's like, yeah, you did a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
ultimately, when it's all said and done, but it becomes heavier. Like the way you carry it is different if the hand is on it than if you just decided to do it. And so, but then the idea that the hero syndrome. Then so now I'm inoculating using my help to everybody else. So it also almost becomes like an exchange. Okay, well, I did this, so I should see this in my life. So I did that, so I should see this in my life. And so when things still hurt, you like, but I did this, and I did this, and I did that, and I gave it, and I gave that, and I gave it. And I've seen people do it, and I'm like, I put myself out there like this, and I'm not getting the kind of return in peace that I should get. And one day you have to look at it and say, okay, was I putting myself there because this is what I was supposed to do, or because I needed something to either forget about, ignore, or try to get in exchange for? And I don't think it don't seem like it, because a lot of times you do it with the best of intentions. Like you're talking about taking in kids that you sound like me. Like who else?
That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer.
Right,
but,
no question. No question. I got the space, then they can come, especially with children.
But you have to be careful, because children are ministry. And so Children are a ministry, and if you're taking them in, you have to be willing
and able
to this is not about them just letting them sleep on your floor or giving them some food to eat. And don't get me wrong, I know that some situations you may have to do that for a few days, just that, but you really need to take some careful consideration, especially with children, because they are our future. They are our future. And what you put into them is what's gonna come out.
Sure, so they're whole humans.
They are whole humans. They're whole humans. And don't get me wrong, I didn't. I'm not saying that I didn't do a good thing, but what I'm saying was my mental space at the time. I could have done a whole lot better had I consulted God and been in the mental space with those children, but. Thank God we made it.
Yeah,
we made it. There's some good babies.
Look, so there's grace for mistakes. I tell people
we made it, and I'm so happy. And I always say that if I could do it again, I would have definitely consulted God more about. I still would have did it, but I definitely would have had God in the midst of that thing. You hear me? I would have had him in the midst of that thing, and I kept them for like 2 years, and I say my regret was that I gave them up.
My thing, so that goes to your roots, right?
Yeah.
And so my thing, because we are rooted in Christ. Now let me be clear. There are some people out here who are not Christians, who are very solid in who they are, but it's because what they've chosen to stabilize them from a root perspective, that's what they go back to. You know what I mean? And so it's very hard to stay on a path of, okay, I'm walking in my purpose, my true purpose, because purpose follows identity. You don't understand your real purpose until you understand who you are. Otherwise, you'll do things, you know what I mean, for reason. Like, I thought I did the right thing. Let me tell you something. I went to college. I got a degree. I got a house. I got started a business. Got a good job one day. When the business wasn't working, okay, I'm going to go get $100,000 career. So I went and did that, and then came back full circle. And I was like, that's not really what you're supposed to be doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I thought I did all the right stuff, and it didn't really follow my true purpose. And not that my purpose can't be affluent, you know what I mean, or make money, but I went in a direction that made sense from a societal perspective rather than really sitting down and saying, okay, even if that's what I'm going to do, is this how I'm supposed to do it? And that's where I got into a place where I was in a real true identity crisis. I'm like, I know I love the Lord. I know I trust God, but I don't feel like I'm living a kind of life that I feel like that I should be living based on somebody that's rooted in the things of God. So I think pain is real good. So tell me what the call to action is for pain.
So pain, let's go to pain. There's some call to actions. Let's see, what did I put as some call to actions to pain? Okay, so I love the movie The War Room. That's one. If you haven't seen that, watch that movie.
Yes,
because prayer is a powerful weapon, especially around pain. Sometimes we fighting the wrong enemy.
Indeed.
And then I have some podcasts. Marianne Jacola Gray on YouTube. That's a TED Talk.
Okay.
Very powerful TED Talk. It's called It Hurts to Hurt Someone. So that's a good one. And then we have another one from Guy Winch. That's a TED Talk.
Okay.
Why we all need to practice emotional first aid.
The thing about TED Talks is that they're short. They're not really long.
Short. Yeah. So it's not going guys, this is a 10-day guide. So you can get through this journal, as fast as you want to. So and I made it because I know we have short attention spans. So I made sure that it was stuff that it wouldn't take you forever to do or get through. Yeah. But it was very impactful.
Right.
Things that's gonna just hit you and make you think about some things. So they're not long.
Yeah, because them TED Talks, they get in there, they make the point, bullet point. They always have a real great introduction, and then they shift real fast. It's real good. So you can get the information and have some ways to deal with a thing pretty quick.
Anybody have any questions for me? Anybody have any questions? Yeah. I see y'all have some good comments there. But or anybody want to share anything?
Yeah. Look, Susan says here she said, I remember the Holy Spirit telling me one time that sometimes people who need to receive judgment so that we can progress are the very ones we are praying for him to protect. So basically we're putting our hand on a place, like we're waiting on a thing to shift in our lives, and it's not shifting because we got our hand covering the thing that need to come out the way. That's basically there's something that the Lord is trying to remove, and it's usually people, and that's painful. Like it hurts to hurt somebody. That's a good word. That's a whole ministry. Like it hurts to hurt somebody. People always act like it just hurts to be hurt, but when you're the person doing the hurting, man. Look, I try so hard to handle people correctly that you're inevitably going to disappoint somebody. You cannot help it. And so when it happens, I'm like, man.
Yeah, if you have a soul and you feel, we don't go out wanting to just hurt people. And most people do not want to hurt you or don't even know that they hurt you.
Right.
So when you let them know you've been hurt, or you share that with them, that something very simple hurt them, a lot of times people they take that hard, like they want to redeem themselves. I mean, because remember, everybody coming to the world clean. We come into the world clean. We good.
Yeah.
And so the things that we go through life sometimes can shift us a little bit, but ultimately we want to love and we want to do our best here.
My thing is like hurting people. I don't want to be the reason why somebody has a trust issue.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that. Yeah. But you ultimately, like, if you're not like life, as life goes, at some point you'll be the catalyst for somebody else.
You a teacher. You remember I was talking about we all students and teachers at some point. True, right? Like we are all students and teachers at some point. You are going to teach somebody a lesson, and somebody's going to teach you a lesson. So the sooner you can remember that you are not perfect and you're going to do something, even if it's unintentional. I listened to this podcast about a lady who accidentally killed someone. Nobody wants to murder kill anybody. But when you make that you accidentally, you like, I ain't killing nobody. But what if you just roll up out of your driveway and roll over somebody? Unintentional accident. How are you going to live with that? That is not who you are. You're not anybody who wanted to murder somebody or kill somebody or be the reason why somebody left this earth. I mean, we are all by the grace of God. It doesn't happen every day, but you just don't know what lesson you're gonna have to teach somebody. So that's why forgiveness is important. Get through that thing and then forgive and move on.
Talk to me about how you do that. So I'm a minister, right? Look, forgiveness is a whole entire series of ministry places. It's a whole series of, like, there's scriptures, there's psychologists, there's psychiatrists. Like, we're all trying to figure out forgiveness. And I know one of the chapters that you have is forgiveness. We talked about trust, and it doesn't have to be as it relates to that specifically. But my thing is, any place in life is subject to people hurting you. So I figured out, okay, now I'm in pain. If you're not careful, pain will change your DNA.
Absolutely.
Pain will literally change your DNA. And if you allow pain to change your DNA rather than figuring out, like you said, what the assignment of the pain was. Like, so in the scripture it says, God will use things all together. He works all things for your good. That doesn't mean he sent it or it was okay that you went through it. But somehow that thing has an assignment because it showed up. So no matter what it is, it's going to provide some type of lesson, like you said. So what did it teach me? What was its assignment? And then how do I deal with the fact I have to forgive? Because if I don't forgive, then the pain and the lack of forgiveness, it becomes something else totally.
Oh yeah.
And you become something else.
It turns inward on you. It turns you into this monster. That monster you sitting there upset at and mad at, you're gonna turn into that monster when you don't forgive. Forgiveness is not about people not taking accountability. If somebody does something really bad, God forbid they do something really bad that you have to forgive them for, it just takes the accountability part from us wanting to punish them or decide what the punishment should be, or decide what it is that they need to go through in order to, make you feel better.
That's a
we let that, we allow that to go to a higher power, and we let the higher power handle that. Whatever.
How do you release that though? So again, let me tell you, so that's not a thing in me. People, I'm different, and I know I am, and I just started understanding how different I am in the terms of like how I release people that hurt me. Like I'm able to release this shift. But the place, I know I speak to a lot of people that struggle with that, and a lot of the problem is you want to see somebody atone, you want to see somebody get punished, or you want to see somebody have to be accountable. And I literally told somebody 2 days ago that people can hurt you, and you would never see how they had to pay for it, but you have to know that they're gonna have to account for it.
Well, I mean, that comes back to that identity thing. Forgiveness is a biblical principle. Yeah. And so if you believe in God, right, then you know that everybody has to pay for the things that they do. Now, how we pay for it, what we go through, that's not up to us. It's not up to us. So you have to believe. You have to first believe that that God is going to take care of whatever it is that person has done to you, or and he's going to redeem them somewhere. I love that movie, The Shack. And it's a great, to me, that movie gave the greatest illustration of forgiveness ever. The ultimate forgiveness, because there was you had to humanize that person, take the judgment off of them, because remember, no matter what they've done, that's still a human. You got to humanize that person, whether they did it from pain, right, whatever it is. Yeah. I'm gonna give an example. As a little girl, my molester, when I got 19 years old, when I got about 19 years old, that was when I decided that I had to let it go. But I had to humanize that person. The way I did that, and you can do it different ways, I had to sit down and imagine him as a little boy, the same age I was. And I thought about what had he must have gone through for him to even become this way. Because I remember that we are good. We didn't come in this world to inflict pain on people. And so I humanized him in that way. That was my way. You may have to, I had to remember that something had to happen to him in order for him to inflict that kind of pain on me. For him to even approach me in that manner. And so I was able to have some sympathy for him. Now, what he did was okay? Absolutely not. It's still not okay with me. Does he need to be redeemed? Absolutely. I pray every day that, God is working on him and doing everything he can to keep him from hurting anybody else. But I let it go, and I put it in the hands of God. And I said, okay, I'm going to let this go, but I need you to go after this person and redeem them so they don't do anything else to anybody else.
That's good.
Immediately I felt relief, because I was no longer his victim anymore. I was a survivor then. And now I can talk about it, and I'm not crying about it no more. And so that pain I was holding in, not wanting my kids to go and have fun because I'm scared somebody else gonna do it to them. All of that I was holding inside that was making me this, not trusting people and making my kids' life miserable. I released that, and I had more joy. And so I know.
Let me tell you, the part where you said, for me, it's the part where you said, make him better so he doesn't hurt anybody else. Yeah. It becomes a thing where not only am I releasing it, because forgiveness, I keep telling people, does more for you than the other person if they never find out to forgive. Let me not hold on to this, because I'm not going to give you the power in my life to continue to affect me in a negative, like you already did this. So I'm not going to allow you to hold a place in my life where you can continue to give me pain, cause me pain. However, the ability to say, you know what, let me go ahead and place him before God and say, you know what, he's a person and he's still encountering people. Yeah. So let me pray that that something changes in him so that he can't do what he did anymore, then not only have I released it, but I also was able to take it and shift it into a place where I could feel like at least my prayer, because prayer works. If you believe in that, then you know prayer works. And so I know that I'm actually not out of control. So one of the biggest issues with being a victimized, is feeling that you have no control.
That's a part of that identity part. You got to know who you are. And I know who I am in Christ. And I believe that God is going to, redeem him. And I pray for that. I don't pray for him to be anything else. I pray for him to be redeemed, because I love people. And I know that we didn't come here to hurt each other. And so even though I was hurt by somebody, I pray every day, that he doesn't hurt anybody else. And I believe that that's going to happen. I believe that. And so I was able to release that. Now, that's my testimony. Yours might be, something else. You may have to forgive somebody for something even more gruesome, but until you are able to humanize that person, whoever it is, your mom, your dad, an attacker, until you are able to humanize that person and the pain that person must be going through in order to inflict that kind of pain on you, until you can humanize that person, you're going to be struggling with it. So I would start there, and it's not a one size fit all. It may take you a while, and that's okay. Whenever you make the decision to forgive, that's step one. When you just decided that I want to forgive, and then you just start the process, because forgiveness does not happen tomorrow. When you say today I'm going to forgive, it takes a while. It's like you go through process, just like grief. You have to kill that thing. You got to mourn that thing. You got to go through the whole process, and it's steps to that. So. And sometimes it takes people years. And so it's okay. But as long as you make the decision that I'm going to take one step at a time and forgive, I think God will honor you.
It's so important, because your identity is no longer attached to victim.
No.
Somebody told me, there's a friend of mine that said to me, but that's the thing,
That makes me laugh. Y'all know I feel victim. What?
Look like I had some people hurt me in some ways, and I'm just like, you know what? You're not gonna hold me to being this broken person. Like, I refuse to. I might be broken right now, but I'm not gonna stay broken, and I'm not gonna continue to be in this place of brokenness. That's not a part of who I am. That's not the truth of who I am. It's a lie. And so that's a place of shifting, because like I said, pain will try to change your DNA. And if you're not careful, then you'll find yourself stuck in a place believing something to be true about yourself that really just is not. It's as true as you allow it to be. So the moment you decide to forgive, then you have a process to walk out. I think one of the big issues that we have in this society is that everything has to be so fast. And one of the things, look, in my weight loss business, my wellness business, as well as this identity business, what I understand is that the processes that need to really be occurring, they don't occur overnight.
No,
they don't. And so forgiveness is not something that just automatically switches. I can pray for the person, I can decide to release, but there's a process that has to be walked out. Just like trust has to be reestablished. Built. It has to be built. If you break trust with somebody, remember, you have to rebuild that trust. That was one of the things my husband and I went through. How they say that? He understood the assignment. So listen, that was not easy, because I was one angry woman, okay? And I did everything I could to push him away, but he made a decision. He made a decision that he was going to go through what he had to go through with me, because he broke my trust. And he built it up. And it's been 14, my son is 14 years old? It's been 14 years since that happened. And I'm not checking no text messages. I don't even, I know who I am now. And that was another thing. Knowing who you are, knowing your worth and all that kind. I was not there, guys. I was not there at that time. And now I know all that. And he knows. And we both know. So we don't have that problem no more, because he did everything he was supposed to do. I did what I was supposed to do. And, in the healing process, because you have a part in that healing process. Yeah. But earning that trust back was important. And it wasn't overnight. It took a couple of years before I could trust him again. But he did everything, and he stuck in there. And now he has my trust.
and he understands now that, okay, I earned her trust back. I'm not going, you know, so we have to know that when you are the person who you break that trust, whether it be you told somebody business, you gossip, whatever, because we break trust a lot of ways, y'all, that you don't think you breaking trust. You it is your job to prove yourself back to that person. You don't just say I'm sorry and then, you know, I said I'm sorry a million times.
Pride. That's pride.
No.
So you got to watch for pride, man. Let me tell you, you will, without a doubt, hurt somebody, whether on purpose or accident. And your pride cannot be so in the way that you're not willing to allow them the latitude to trust you on their terms. You know what I mean? Yeah, you apologize, but depending on what you did, it may not be as simple as an apology. Look, Brittany out here, and so is Aunt Gail. Hey, y'all. So, but trust has to be reestablished, and it's a thing. And people want to say, you know, like when you're the one that hurt somebody, it's hard. Let me say something else. This is good too because it's marriage. And a lot, like people will tell you, oh, they did this, and this. Y'all aren't supposed to do this. Like they'll make it seem like you didn't even do the right thing by trying to work your stuff out. There is definitely a place. I told most people who have these kind of issues in their marriage, things arise. Most of them want to work it out. You got to keep the people out of your ear. You have to know what works for you, know what you truly want, know what your roots say should happen, right? So if I'm rooted in Christ and I go to God and he says, this is what I need to do, then how do I do that without everybody convincing me? Because that's another thing. Like if my identity ain't supposed to be attached to divorce, then I need to let everybody else tell me that that's what it's supposed to be. I need to be able to walk through. But his desire to prove that I can be trusted again. Let me become somebody that you can trust because I understand and I take accountability for what I did.
So the first thing I learned about that was my marriage wasn't rooted, you know, in God. And so when you don't have that hedge of protection around you, then anything can happen. And so that was the first thing I was convicted of when that happened. I learned, like, you know, God convicted my spirit and said, hey, I wasn't that third, how they said it, I wasn't that third cord. So he wasn't. I didn't pray for us. I didn't pray over us. I didn't do any of those things. I was too busy trying to get through nursing school. So and so I had to take ownership of that. You know, you want to be married. Marriage is, you know, that's a godly institution. So you got to keep God in it. If you don't, then some things will happen.
Yeah, I mean, it creates breaches.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
I mean,
like
the enemy trying to get in there.
Anything that you do, particularly when you're in covenant, you're doing something and you saying God is the one that sent you in that direction. If you don't keep the Lord in it, then you'll create breaches, and where the breaches are, anything can happen. To be quite honest, anything. So you know, there's that. So then you, like you say, identity. Well, I realized that the identity of the marriage is not rooted where it's supposed to be.
It wasn't, and so I had to reinvent that thing. And so
that's good too, because you have, so while he's showing you that, hey, you can trust me, I love you, I really want to do this, you're going back to, okay, look, this is why I'm gonna take accountability for a change that I need to make for this entire thing. So that, and I mean, because you have to, it's gonna be your roots that help you get through it. Like you have to give.
I had too much trust in him. You know, I was like, he ain't gonna do that to me. He would never do that to me. Well, I had my eyes on the wrong person.
Yeah.
You know, I had to keep my eyes on. You got to keep your eyes on God.
Because
God is gonna, you know, make that man accountable. He gonna make sure, you know, that he's doing what he's supposed to do. And a lot of times we put our eyes on our husbands for them to be our savior, when really God is our savior. And so you have to keep your eyes on him to get that husband to act the way he's supposed to act. And so when I started to understand that and flip that a little bit, you know, you know, to praying to God when he wasn't acting right or when I needed something. And then, you know, going down the chain of command and some things started changing.
That's Psalms 120. I will lift up my eyes to the hills, for it's cometh my help cometh from.
But that's a part of identity. Y'all.
Yeah, it is. You have to know.
You gotta know who you are. You know, if you know you're not religious, then you gotta know who you are in that too, because it's gonna conflict. So just knowing who you are, period.
Yeah.
set yourself up.
That's why, I ask people, I'm like, oh, what are you rooted in?
Yeah.
What are you rooted in? And if it's not Christ, then you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I have one of my good friends is Muslim. It's Islam. Though. You know what I'm saying? And when she shifts into things are going, she goes back to that thing that roots her. And is that solid? Is that working for you? And are you truly a reflection of what you say your roots are? Because if you come from a Christian family, it's easy to say, oh, I'm a godly woman. Do you look like that? For years, I know I didn't. For years, I know I didn't. And I couldn't understand that I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not getting the results that I thought I was supposed to get. So what is it that's going on? Like, what is off? What is exchanged? So, y'all, hey, I think that's good. I don't see any questions. Y'all any questions, thoughts, concerns? I know, we've been talking. Look, let me tell you something. Candid conversations. Give me an opportunity to talk. I said, Lord, give me a job where all I got to do is talk. And I can talk. But here's the thing, like, I think it's so important for us to discuss, you know what I mean, who we are, what that looks like, what the truth is. Because the truth is, I think a lot of us don't really understand that we're incongruent, or that there's a mismatch, or a lot of people, like a lot of women are doing what we did, which is looking strong to a whole bunch of people and really breaking. Like,
you gotta speak up, guys. Speak up,
let's talk about depression. I do want to talk about that before we go. Okay.
So depression. Yeah. Depression is one of those things that I had to learn that I had to take some ownership in.
Yeah.
People didn't know I was depressed as I was, and people care. They want to know. Nobody wants to hear you talking about the same thing over and over again and not making any moves, or not, that's the part where, as a friend or as a mother or confidant, you have to be able to say, hey, you need some help beyond how that I can help you. But you got to be able to help them through that. Yeah. Because sometimes people just don't have the tools. It's just not connecting. Something as simple as knowing when depression is coming up on you. I know now. Yeah. I know now that when I wake up and I feel that I call it heaven is a darkness. Mm-hmm. When I feel that thing creeping up on me, I know that it's trying to come up on me. And that signifies to me that I hadn't been, I might have been missing my conversations with God. I ain't been praying enough. I haven't been spending enough time.
It's a breach again. Yeah, somehow there's a breach.
Yeah, because when I'm talking to God, when I'm talking with my family, when I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you're not depressed. When you're moving, you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in life, there is no breach. You don't feel all that stuff. It's just harder to come up on you. That's why when COVID happened, people started realizing, dang, I'm depressed, because you had to sit still and they wasn't doing anything,
to distract them.
Yeah, to distract you. So you have to have a schedule. Like, I had to learn that I had to have a schedule. Like, I had to make myself a schedule. I had to get up. I get up, I pray, I meditate, I walk, I exercise. Like, I had to incorporate all those things into my schedule and hold myself accountable to it, because anytime I don't do those things, I don't feel good. I know it. The first day I don't do it, I don't feel good. So you have to, you will shift. If you suffer with depression, it's gonna come on you, and it's coming quick. And I call it the Grim Reapers. It's just always standing there waiting on this time to jump up on you. So you have to, once you know it, you gotta recognize it when it's coming up on you, and you gotta have a plan.
My thing is, so I call it high functioning and highly depressed.
Yeah.
You high functioning, you highly depressed. Everybody thinks that because you accomplish and because you get certain output that you're not feeling a certain kind of way. And it's like, look, you don't understand that it requires that I do this. Yeah. Like, I have to move a certain kind of way, and I have to involve God in the beginning and in the middle and in the end in order to make sure that I'm bridging all of this stuff, because the schedule is important for me too.
Absolutely.
If I look, and good people, like, because sometimes depression is circumstantial. When my brother passed away, I was done. I was like, yo, I'm not doing anything. I'm not talking to anybody. It's not happening. I had a boyfriend that the relationship went so sour that I was locked in an apartment for days. 4 of my friends showed up, put clothes on me, put shoes on me, and took me out of that apartment for a good week. And for a week, y'all, they shuffled me from one house to another. This was in my 20s. But for a week, they moved me from when this person had to go to work, they dropped me off there. When that person had to go to work, they dropped me off there. And they moved me and shuffled me for days. But you have to have people that, one, will show up for you. But two, you have to understand, is it circumstantial or is it a part of who I am? Like, do I have? Nobody would believe that I deal with depression. I literally, anxiety and depression are two things that I have warred against and prayed against. I was on medication. I used to be on medication for anxiety, real heavy. And then I was on medication for depression for a while. And then I was able to implement the strategy, which not everybody can do. Some people need to, they need the medication, but there was a way that I had to function in order to be better. You know what I'm saying? And I have to be able to be honest about it. Yeah, like every day ain't a good day.
People don't know. Everybody going through their own stuff. So nobody's checking up on you every day. You're not that important, guys. Everybody got their own stuff going on. People trying to get through their own life.
And don't take it personally. Yeah. Oh, let me tell you.
So when you depressed, you need to reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'm not feeling good today. I'm not, this is what I'm feeling today. And it's okay to feel like I don't want to be here today. Because I done had those days a lot.
Right.
You're not crazy.
Right.
You're okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just a part of being human.
Yeah.
Don't go lock people up in a room and, because they say they don't want to be here today. Nah, don't get me wrong. If they have a plan, then you need to take, you need to take them to, a hospital or doctor. If they have a plan, they're telling you they have a plan. But, if they just feeling the darkness of life, because they tired, they going to work every day, the kids getting on their nerves, the husband getting on their nerves, wife getting on their nerves, sometimes people just need to shift a little bit.
That you have to be honest about what you need too. So this is the thing that I see in marriages where everybody want to be each other's best friend. And you have nothing else going on but that other person. And that'd be cool for one person, but it's not okay for them. Look, it's okay. Like it's okay for one person, but the other person is
you
really
mean the
anti-social one. Yeah, you got
wife. No,
you got an anti-social husband or wife.
I mean that's cool if it works.
Look, let me tell you something.
But I need my friends.
I need my people.
We have a lot of fun together.
You see what I'm saying? Like I like you. Number one, I'm not gonna tell you everything because it's some things I can't. It's just I be like, you tell him everything. I'm not married, so let me provide that disclaimer. But I know that I have friends, and it's like, okay, when you was 20 something, it was cute, but by the time you hit 40, it was like, y'all, I ain't had no space from you in 20 years. Like I need some friends. Like I like you, I love you, but I really need some people that I can, connect to outside of. And I find it in ministry circles a lot that everything is like, like everything is about church and serving and being in leadership and being there. And then there's no women that you could talk to outside of that about your real life. Yeah. My real life ain't always.
You have to seek out that circle, and it's your job to seek that out.
Yeah.
People not gonna just come to you. You got to seek them out, and so you have to be out there making those moves, seeking people out. And so, the other thing I want to say, you have to you have to tell people.
Yeah.
And you have to be responsible to know, like I say, when it shows up, when depression is showing up, you have to pay attention to yourself.
Yeah.
You have to have some self-awareness.
That's it.
Knowing when it's coming. And having a plan of what to do when it does show up. So if you've been in that bed all day and you feeling sad, it's time for you to get up out that bed.
Yeah. You
got to get up out that bed.
I give myself 3 days. I tell myself all the time, especially if it's circumstantial. If something happened, Nisa, if you went through something, you got 3 days to lay around here. That's it. By day number 3, and it's usually weekends, you know what I mean? But by day number 3, I don't care if you just go walk around the block. You got to get up. You got to put some clothes on. You have to go somewhere. I haven't had that issue in a while, but it happens. The other thing I think is that you don't take people's absence personal. It's like when I got a friend that says it was all I could do not to die. Like it was all I could do not to die. And so because I'm such a people person, when I disappear, they think it's about them. Yeah. And it's like, I've been trying to tell you for years that I really get into a place and it's real dark and it's real heavy. And if I keep trying to do like, I don't have the hero thing. I don't have the capacity when I'm feeling like that to be, you might want to come check for me. Yeah. Like you may not have time to, and I'm okay, but you can't take it personal because I just didn't have the capacity.
Well, and not only that, it's okay to spend some time with yourself. I think it's important. Like there's some days that I don't talk to anybody, my friends, outside of the people that live in the house with me that I have to talk to. But there's some times where you have to put that phone down and you have to just be by yourself. You need to hear yourself think. You need to talk to God. Sometimes you got to shut it all down. And that's a part of knowing who you are, learning to discern the voice of God. You need those things. You don't need to be engaging 24/7 with people and that, or how they call it, bored. Sometimes you need to be a little bored and sit down and just be quiet, be still and be quiet.
That's one of the chapters of your book, right? The stillness.
Stillness is another thing. I believe, I pray, but I also believe in being still. I believe in just doing absolutely nothing, sitting there and shutting your brain down. We have too much stimuli coming in and out. So sometimes you just need to shut that TV off. You need to shut that phone off, and you just need to be quiet and still. You don't even know what you sound like or what God sounds like because you're too busy running your mouth. Like you need to shut that thing down sometimes. And I don't even understand how some people move through life and know what to do. Like you need to know what to do. How you gonna know what to do if you're not even listening for God?
Because they move in anxiety. What happens is they start moving in anxiety. There's a scripture, Psalms 46:10. For years, the Lord kept saying, "Need to be still." And the word says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted in the heavens. I'll be exalted in the Lord literally says, "Be still." Sometimes there's a place where it says, "Be still and see the salvation of the Lord." Sometimes there's a place where you're right. You just have to stop moving. But it's some people that's always on the go, and they tend to make a lot of mistakes because you don't know what you're deciding based on.
You're not listening. So it's important for you to learn what God sounds like to you. He speaks to us in different ways. He might give you, a vision, a dream, you might hear a soft whisper. And I'm one that hears a soft whisper. And so I have to listen for that. So anybody who knows me personally knows that I'm a Zen person. I'm there for a reason. I like taking, quiet bubble baths. I like sitting in my room and just being quiet. Sometimes, most of the time, I don't have a TV on unless it's something I really want to watch. But I do that. I sit in quietness and stillness because I'm always listening for the voice of God to tell me which way to go and where, because I don't trust myself, y'all. I gotta listen. I gotta wait on God to tell me what to do, and then I take it from there. But stillness, definitely. If that's not something you do or incorporate, and I do that every morning, it's a part of my I have to wake up early. Sometimes get up early
so you can be still because you got a whole house.
Yeah, because you don't have time. You get that a lot. I don't have time. You'll be surprised if you just wake up a little bit earlier, even if it's an hour before you have to get to work. You will have so much energy at work, getting up instead of trying to get them last 10 minutes, asleep. Get up, get prepared for your day. You have to prepare. Connect to your power source. You connect that phone at night to that cord. You need to connect to your power source, whatever that is. You need to connect before you go out into this world. And so that is important. And that's a part of that routine when you deal with depression. That's a part of that routine that you need to have in place for yourself. Because what I've learned is when I follow my routine every day and I get up and I show up for life, that depression is not, it doesn't have any space to show up. And so the minute I'm not doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing, that's when it comes. And don't get me wrong, there are some extremes. And I'm a nurse and I know that. So I will say there's a certain population out there that when you try all these things, it's not working. And that's when you know that you need to seek some medical advice. You need to go see a doctor. If you're outside of that box, then yes, there may be something medically going on with you that's causing you to feel this way, and you need to go get that checked out. But you need to be, you have to be able to discern that.
But let me be clear, I keep a therapist in a Rolodex.
Oh,
I keep a therapist.
What you talking about, a therapist? They need to stop calling them therapists. They need to call them best friends.
Look, let me tell you. Listen,
best friends.
All I need you to do is be a believer. So when I talk to you about Jesus stuff, y'all really think I'm crazy. But I'm like, people come to me for prayer, and when I start listening, I'm like, have you gone to therapy? Yeah, yes, we're going to pray, but you need psychotherapy. I can hear it in what you have going on. Healing is a process.
Yeah.
And so here's the other thing. If you keep moving, if there's no stillness at all, then you lose yourself real fast. You lose your identity real fast. And so identity is a process of discovery. I don't believe your identity is tied to how you feel. I truly believe, because I'm rooted in Christ, I believe that it's decided when you are created, and you have to discover who you are meant to be. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in crisis. And so that process of discovery is lifelong. And if you're not careful, then you'll be doing some things that were on path, but because it's been so much convolution, then you'll get off path, and then you wake up one day and you're like, wait, where did this happen? And so that quiet time with yourself is important, so you can sit down and say, okay, let me make sure that the business plan for my life is still doing what it's supposed to be doing, as opposed to me having gone all off track. When it comes to my like who I am, my mental health, that's the thing. Dealing with girl, I keep a therapist. I'll keep a therapist.
Yeah, that's your other best friend. Don't call him a therapist. just go ahead on and get your best friend. Because sometimes that's all you need is talk therapy.
Right.
Talk your way through it, and it's simple. You get to talk it out. And then sometimes they'll give you some tools, or by the time you finish talking it out, you know exactly what you're going to do.
And I just needed a place to put it. Like I always say, look, my therapist, I'm gonna take it over there. I'm gonna drop it off from your office, and I'm gonna just leave that thing there. I don't have to pick it back up.
Yeah. So yeah, I got a lot of beautiful pictures in
lots
here.
Of photos, you know, we do photos.
And so I'll just say, get the journal. If you're dealing with any depression, any area of your life that you just like, why this keeps showing up. I mean, hopefully you get the journal and it can help you.
Yeah.
I want to start a podcast. I will be starting a painkiller podcast, so we can talk, just have some talks and just some conversations about real life stuff that's going on, and hopefully help some people get through some stuff.
And so I'm excited about www.reginapittman.com.
Right? reginapittman.com. Yeah. That's my website. You can keep up with what's going on with me, what podcasts I'm on, when I'm showing up, other books that's coming out. So yeah, I'm excited. And
look, praise the Lord. Writing a book is not an easy thing, particularly being vulnerable. So I feel like this was the first candid conversation. I feel like it was heavy, but that's what I want to do. Honestly, I want to talk about the things that are real to us, and the things that truly affect us. Trying, like, knowing who we are, really understanding our purpose, and being able to walk in there without it being convoluted by society. I believe in being unapologetically you. I believe in everybody being their own brand of beautiful. It's things that seem like hashtags, but I'm so serious. Like, me being beautiful don't mean you're not. Like, everybody in the room is pretty. If that, you know what I'm saying? If you just decide that the beauty within you is there, then it's there. And so connecting to who you really are, what you're really rooted in, what your principles look like, and allowing your life to be an expression of the truth of who you are is important. And when it comes to pain, let me see the book. I'm holding. Okay. The book Painkiller. I'm gonna show y'all again. Go to her website and get it. The book, it has the sections. It talks about common things that we all deal with in terms of pain, healing, and purpose. And then it has the journal with the calls to action that you're able to go in and say, you know what? Okay, I'm dealing with this. I understood what she said. Pull the nuggets out from the calls to action that she gives you. Whether TED Talks are there, hey, what did he say that I can actually use? Because that's the point. The point is to make it applicable, make it usable, and find yourself shifting because of this. And you will see a change.
Or if you know somebody, you may not necessarily be able to use this, but you know somebody who is hurting and who is in pain. So be how they say, sow a seed.
Sow it, yeah.
Or write me and I'll send it to them.
Yeah,
my goal is to help people, so I'll send it to them. Go on my website, send me an email. If I can help somebody, I definitely want to do that. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, what you think?
We're good.
We're good. Well,
thank y'all for tuning in. We had a great talk.
I appreciate everybody for coming in. Everybody that watches on the replay, let us know. Go ahead and tag it. Make sure you go to her website and pick up the book. She's a brand new author. It's the first book, but it definitely won't be the last book. We definitely understand. I see it. I see. You know, I ain't gonna prophesy today. However, I see the ministry that's coming out of it. It's very necessary to talk about pain, hurting, healing. Those things they will change the DNA, but there's a way that you can walk through them and become whole. So thank you. Like I said, it's my cousin, y'all.
Yes, y'all. Come on, go out there and kill some pain. Go out there and kill some pain.
Yeah, right. Don't let it kill you. What I tell y'all, apply pressure. Apply pressure. I said, look, when pressure is applied, something have to break. Don't let it be you. Don't be the thing that breaks. Go out there and kill the pain. And shift. Yeah, shift. Shift. God got a shift. Hey, God got a shift. So I appreciate it. It was good. And y'all have a wonderful remainder of your day. I will see you on the next episode of Candid Conversations with Identity Speaks. Thanks.